A very warm welcome to each one of you for this Foundation Day lecture. We appreciate you taking time off your busy schedules to join us today. May I please request everyone to sit down. We would like to begin the program by invoking the Almighty. The audience is requested to rise for the prayer song.
सभी का है तू, सभी तेरे, खुदा मेरे तू बख्शीश कर। तेरी मर्जी से है मालिक, हम इस दुनिया में आए हैं। तेरी रहमत से हम सब ने ये जिस्म और जान पाए हैं। तू अपनी नजर हम पर रखना, किस हाल में है ये खबर रखना। तेरी है ज़मीन, तेरा आसमां, तू बड़ा मेहरबान, तू बख्शीश कर। सभी का है तू, सभी तेरे, खुदा मेरे तू बख्शीश कर। तू चाहे तो हमें रखे, तू चाहे तो हमें मारे। तेरे आगे झुका के सर खड़े हैं आज हम सारे। सबसे बड़ी ताकत वाले, तू चाहे तो हर आफत टाले। तेरी है ज़मीन, तेरा आसमां, तू बड़ा मेहरबान, तू बख्शीश कर। सभी का है तू, सभी तेरे, खुदा मेरे तू बख्शीश कर, तू बख्शीश कर, तू बख्शीश कर।
Please be seated now. Thank you, choir, for the soulful rendition. This year, we are indeed pleased to have Shri Sanjay Kirloskar, Chairman and Managing Director of Kirloskar Brothers Limited, one of the India's oldest manufacturing companies as the Foundation Day speaker. Under his leadership, Kirloskar Brothers Limited is also India's largest pump manufacturer, having manufacturing facilities in Netherlands, South Africa, Thailand, the United Kingdom, and the United States of America. He was also the president of All India Management Association for the year 2019 to 2020. Mr. Sanjay Kirloskar is instrumental in setting up an all-women operated and managed manufacturing plant of Kirloskar Brothers Limited at Coimbatore, as a part of a drive to have more women in the core engineering industry. Sir, we at Ximb University are indeed honored to have you here today with us. We gladly welcome Shri Rajiv Kaul, the longest-served chairman of Xavier Institute of Management and first chairman of our university. Sir, it's a pleasure to have you amongst us. We cordially welcome Father Jerome Cotenha, Chairman, Board of Governors, Ximb University. Welcome, Father. We warmly welcome our Vice Chancellor, Father Anthony R. Overy. Welcome, Father. May I now request Shri Rajiv Kaul to address the gathering with his welcome remarks.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and please remain seated. Sorry about that, in case she's around. Our respected chief guest, Mr. Sanjay Kirloskar. He's a dear friend of mine as well for many years. He's also, as we've already heard, the chairman and managing director of Kirloskar Brothers. Father Jerry Kutina, our provincial and also chairman. Father Tony Overy, our Vice Chancellor, who's also now my friend for many, many years, right? And he built this fantastic new campus that we have. I remember in gumboots during the monsoon period. My colleagues on the Board of Governors, and today we have actually 3 Vice Chancellors with us as well. So give them a big hand, please. And of course the other board members, not that we want to belittle them in any way, members of the faculty, bright young students, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is with the greatest of pleasure that I extend a very warm welcome to all of you at today's Foundation Day lecture. A very special welcome goes out to our chief guest, Mr. Sanjay Kirloskar, a person who I have admired from the days when he was much, much younger, all right? I won't disclose his age, but he was much younger then. And I've had the pleasure of, in a way, working with him at CII, at IMA, the All India Management Institute, where in one place he was chairman of the Western region, and I'm sure one day he'll be president of CII as well. And he was president of IMA a couple of years ago. Working with him at close range, I realized that he had many qualities. His leadership ability has been phenomenal, and that is one thing which has been with him right throughout. Whether it is leading his company, whether it is leading Indian industry, or whether it is leading the APEC institution of management in the country, the All India Management Association. Sanjay has many credits to his, what should I say, to his record. Some of them already have been mentioned by the young student who did the introductions. He's got 8 factories, including one in Netherlands, one in South Africa, one in Thailand, and also in the very advanced countries of UK and the US. And he uses technology to the hilt. Whether it is artificial intelligence, whether it is virtual reality, whether it is augmented reality, whether it is 3D printing, all these factors have given him a leadership position, not just in India, but indeed globally. And that is something which very few captains of Indian industry have done. And he's done this through working his way up in the organization, which was a culture in the Kirloskar family. As you also heard, he has the only pump factory in the world which is run entirely by women. So when people talk of women empowerment, you have here a standing, or at the moment sitting example in Sanjay Kirloskar. Sanjay, you are certainly a visionary. You are certainly a leader who inspires. I'm aware not just you but your family has a very, very high standard of integrity. And again, you, like your other family members, have been involved in nation building right from the pre-independence days to today, where India is being propelled to become a leader in the world by the time you young students here who will be graduating and all building India of the future, an India which we will all be very proud of. But you know, amongst all these things, what I value about you most is the humility. And it's this humility which really sets you apart from so many other leaders who have these wonderful qualities that I mentioned earlier. So friends, ladies and gentlemen, young students, let's welcome him with a really, really big applause. Welcome, Sanjay. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for agreeing to accept the honorary doctorate that is going to be conferred on you shortly. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful words. With much pleasure and enthusiasm, XIM University is pleased to confer honoris causa in business management on Shri Sanjay C. Kirloskar. I call upon our senior faculty member, Professor Subhashi Shri, to read out the citation.
Respected Vice-Chancellor Father Anthony Wari, Father Kutina, Chancellor Shri Rajiv Kaul, Shri Sanjay Kirloskar, guests in the auditorium, dear colleagues and students, good evening. It's a matter of great joy, privilege and honor to read this citation. This degree is being awarded to Shri Sanjay C. Kirloskar, Chairman and Managing Director, Kirloskar Brothers Limited, popularly known as KBL. The Kirloskar Group is a century-old pioneering organization that has been at the forefront of manufacturing excellence in our country. KBL has delivered products designed and manufactured in India to several global corporations, resulting in the creation of Brand India for engineering goods. It has helped countries like Laos and Senegal to achieve self-sufficiency in food, developed India's largest water supply system in Gujarat, and in 2018, the country received a special recognition from the government of Thailand for rescuing a young soccer team that got trapped in a flooded cave. Today, India's confident strides to be a global economic superpower is shaped by the likes of the Kirloskar Group and the able leadership of Shri Sanjay Kirloskar. An alumnus of the world-renowned Illinois Institute of Technology, Chicago, USA, Shri Kirloskar has steered KBL to a leadership position in the global pump industry. Under his leadership, the company has embraced sustainability and digital solutions in its design and manufacturing. The factories are remarkable for the use of additive manufacturing, artificial and virtual reality. They are also remarkable for Shri Kirloskar's focus on women empowerment, as shared by other speakers, setting up the world's only all-women pump factory. As the world acknowledges the role of gender equality and diversity for sustainable development and a low-carbon economy, Shri Kirloskar has really walked the talk like a true enlightened leader. His focus and concern for societal well-being made him set up Vikas Charitable Trust in 1991 to carry community development work in the area of health and education. And this is almost 2 decades before CSR or corporate social responsibility became mandated in our country. Corporations today are being urged to focus on ethical leadership, but way back in 2009, Shri Kirloskar started that journey by instituting a code of ethics for his employees. He has contributed to India's trade policy by serving on the Board of Trade, Government of India, and as the Vice President of the Governing Council of the Central Manufacturing Institute. He has been a member of the Dean's Advisory Council at MIT, USA, and also serves as the director in several leading global organizations. He is a member of the CIA National Council, heads the National Committee on Skill Development and Livelihood, and has been the president of All India Management Association, chairman CII Western Region, and vice president of Maratha Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture. By positively impacting several stakeholders during his leadership journey, Sri Sanjay C. Kirloskar stands out as a role model of Indian management and business leadership. Ximb University recognizes the diverse achievements of Shri Kirloskar across industries, society, and the government, and is pleased to confer on him the Doctorate in Business Management honoris causa on November 30th, 2022 in Bhubaneswar.
Thank you, Subhashish sir. I request our chairman, Father Jerome Kutinha, Chairman Emeritus, Shri Rajiv Kaul, and our Vice Chancellor, Father Anthony R. Uveri, to confer the honorary doctorate on Shri Sanjay C. Kirloskar and to felicitate him for gracing our occasion. Thank you. Now, I would like to take the privilege of inviting Shri Sanjay Kirloskar, the chief guest and speaker for the evening, to deliver his Foundation Day speech. Sir, please.
You know how to start this? Chairman Emeritus and my good friend Mr. Rajiv Kaul, Father Jerry, Father Anthony, dignitaries who are in front of me, and my young friends. I'm really honored by this, confirming this doctorate on me. I think the one who would get the most amusement out of this would be my mother, right? Because she had a tough time getting me to go to school. I too am a product of the Jesuits. I was lucky to go to attend Loyola High School in Pashan, Pune. Some of you may know that. And what really gave me great joy was to see the sports fields that you have over here, because I believe the Jesuits believe in an all-rounded education, and I think that's really what you're getting here. I am honored also that you have requested me to give your Foundation Day address. I understand that XIM leads the country in management education, focusing on research and innovation, that your intellectual capital is amongst the top 5 in the nation, and I'm sure that the products of this institution that I see in front are going to lead our nation to greater heights. I was told that I would speak for about 30 minutes, right? This would be a 30-minute session, but I was a little apprehensive when I opened that, because I saw I'm supposed to be here for about 45 minutes. And I'm going to speak for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then I hope you will be a little nicer to me than my shareholders are, right? Mr. Kaul asked me to speak about my experiences, but I thought it would be better to tell you about people who inspire me every day. You said that you like my humility, and I was reminded, when I was sitting here, I was reminded of what Churchill said about his successor and I guess later his predecessor, Mr. Clement Attlee. He said, Mr. Attlee is a modest man because he's got much to be modest about, right? And I'm a humble man because there's a lot to be humble about. So I'll speak about 2 individuals, basically. My great-grandfather, the founder of Kirloskar Brothers, he founded the company in 1888. It was a partnership firm. And later on, my grandfather, Mr. S.L. Kirloskar, who some of you may remember, is famous for his bow tie. And he really led the group, consolidated the business, created many new businesses, and under his leadership, in 40 years, the group grew by about 32,000%. So in the beginning, this is my great-grandfather, first-generation entrepreneur, went through many tribulations throughout his career. But he set the foundation of the Kirloskar Group as we know today. And basically the values that he set, the qualities that he had, really inspire us on a daily basis. This is what he said: treat your work as your duty. So immerse yourself completely in your work if you want to succeed in this world. He who works earns the world's respect. He firmly believed in the dignity of labor. After setting up this institution in Belgaum in 1910, he was asked to leave because his factory turned out to be in a residential area. And so he left, and he left for a barren wasteland about 100 kilometers away from where he was, thanks to the largesse of a good friend of his, the Raja of Aundh, and set up Kirloskar, which was one of the first industrial townships in our country. He lived with his workers. There was no discrimination on caste, religion, whatsoever. Everyone was working together. And this is what we have learned. Since he worked this way, most of us after graduation from whichever college that we came from went to work first by sweeping the floor of the factory. And then we were expected to do better than anyone else as we rose up in the organization. Some of us were lucky because we got promoted a little faster. You could say maybe the right DNA helped. But one other thing that he mentioned was, that my grandfather said, was that regardless of what happened in the family, the business had to continue. People have lives, but our factories never close when someone passes away. We believe that you honor individuals by working harder when they are no longer with us. I have a few photographs. A few days ago, I was told that it's nice to show old photographs. And these are photographs. This is an assembly hall built by my great-grandfather about 112 years ago in Aundh. This is what earned the respect and what proved to his benefactor, the Raja of Aundh, that he was totally honest. This building, I have taken this photograph, and it's still as it was, no cracks that you see in modern buildings nowadays, and absolutely nothing wrong with it. And it's maintained also very well. And my great-grandfather, when he built it, was a little worried whether he had done a good job. The Raja actually built a ramp and put an elephant on top on the roof, just to see whether it was well built. And then that's how he earned the trust of the Raja, who did everything for him throughout his life. The other gentleman is a moneylender who saw my great-grandfather working every day. His workshop was close to Mr. Ginde's home, and he realized at times that my great-grandfather was not doing very well financially. And he just came and handed him money. Nowadays you have what are called angel investors. This man was really an angel. He didn't ask for ownership in the company, he just wanted this young man to succeed. So this is what we started with, people who helped us right at the beginning. And these are families who we are still in touch with. They attend our celebrations with us, even if it is more than 120 years now since they helped us. He had a great passion, my great-grandfather. He loved to work, and he believed in himself, and he wanted to do the best things that he could. This picture is of the Raja of Aundh with my great-grandfather. My great-grandfather made a lot of agricultural implements, but his dream was to make diesel engines or internal combustion engines. And when he did that, he displayed it in an agriculture fair. This is in Pune, in the agricultural college in Pune. Everyone believed that these engines were imported. So, you have to give your best. You have to be passionate about your work, and you have to give your best to whatever you want to achieve. And what I admire about my great-grandfather the most was that he knew when it was time to step out. When he owned the company, basically owned the company, he had a board of directors. And when the board of directors disagreed with him on the way he was running the company, rather than get rid of the board, he stepped out, right? Because he felt that he was no longer able to run the business in the environment as it had developed. And possibly that's one reason why we still exist today. Talked about women empowerment. It's something that's built into the family DNA. My great-grandmother pawned her jewelry to help my grandfather continue his business. She was a firm believer in the Swadeshi movement. She obviously impressed my grandmother, who's in the center of in this photograph in the center. You can't see the people over there. But my grandmother started a factory for destitute women in Pune. And that actually led us to create this all-women factory that we have. And all the guys in the room, women are far better workers than us. I can say that. Increasingly, we find that we have more and more girls on the shop floor who deliver results day in and day out. And our factories are getting more and more women as we as I am talking over here. Society first. This is another thing that runs in the family. My great-grandfather was, someone came to him to ask for a donation. And he said, okay, this is how much money I have in the bank. I don't need it now. So he just wrote out a check for whatever was there. And this was for the Bengal famine in 1943. A little earlier, they spoke about the cave in Thailand. We did not send pumps. Everyone believed that we sent pumps. We did not send pumps. We believed that they already had pumps, the pumps that they needed. We sent people. We sent experts who knew how to use the different kinds of pumps. For those, sorry, I'm getting a little technical, but pumps have either you have high flow or you have high pressure, and you have to put the pump in the right place to get the most water out. And that's what they did. And for that, the government of Thailand honored us, because we were the only company that didn't tell them to buy more equipment. We just ensured that they could use what they had efficiently. We got a letter from the new king. He was new at that time, and our people were invited for a meal at the palace for doing that. I'm now going to switch over to my grandfather, an exceptional gentleman. Most people remember him with the bow tie. He was known for wearing very flashy bow ties. He was there for us when the next generation after him passed away. And he was there for another 7 years, during which we learned a lot from him. He steered the company, he took over from his father, steered the company through the British Raj when imported products were preferred. He steered the company through the socialism that we had, license Raj, when private sector was not really preferred. But he made sure that we grew, and he brought in so many products into this company that each of these products later on were made into different companies. So Kirloskar Brothers made the first pump in India, it made the first engine in India, it made the first electric motor in India, it made the first machine tool in India, the air compressor in India. Today they're all separate companies, and that's how the business has grown. One thing that I learned from him, honesty and commitment. We started exports in 1933 or 34. And at that time, we were exporting sugarcane crushers. These sugarcane crushers were sent to Africa. They failed. They were brought back and replaced. Today, you hear about cars being recalled. This was a policy he set in the company. And he made sure that we learned that if there was a defect, the product has to be recalled. If whatever the customer wanted, you have to provide him with the best possible product that you can make. Like his father, he was mad about machines. The picture on the left shows a drawing that he made at age 8. He was dyslexic, so that's why the S is backwards. In 1939, the government approached us to make things for the war effort. And he said, I'm not going to make anything that doesn't last. Wars don't last. I don't want to make ammunition because there will be no demand for ammunition after a few years. And that's how we got into machine tools, because he said it can help the war effort, but it can also, as India industrializes, we can have more and more business. And that's what I mean by have a vision for the future, understand where the world is going. And that's why, Rajiv, we have invested in artificial intelligence, augmented and virtual reality, 3D printing, because that's the way the future is going to be. We make, I think, the second oldest machine invented by man, this pump. But today, pumps made in India are sold all around the world, sold to very large companies around the world with efficiencies that are amongst the best in the world. So that is what needs to be done. You have to take huge personal risks if you want to succeed. This gentleman, Mr. A.P. Good, ran two of Britain's largest companies making engines and motors. And my grandfather went to the United Kingdom, to London, in 1944-45. I don't know how he got there. He flew by plane while the war was going on. He sat in London while the bombs were dropping. And as kids, he would regale us with stories about the difference between V-1 and V-2 rockets, which the Germans were sending in their last-ditch attempt to stop Britain from winning the war. But he also maintained good relations with his partners. And he had a very large number of partners, which helped him grow his business. He also had great courage. He was always ready, he always called a spade a spade. The picture on the left shows a charkha that was designed by the company. That's Mr. Kale, who was our designer. There was a competition in India in the 1930s where Mahatma Gandhi wanted, to make a lot of textiles in India, and he wanted it to be done at the rural level, and therefore he wanted to distribute a large number of charkhas. There was a 1 lakh rupee prize. He liked this. He found it the most productive, but he said, this is like too much of, this is like a machine. It can't be like a machine. This was not his dream charkha. And my grandfather went to Wardha to argue with him, to tell him that, you want something productive, it's going to look like a machine. I can't help it, you can't help it. And if you are against machines, why are you using a kerosene water pump in your ashram in Wardha? And he was ready to say things like that. And Gandhiji looked at him very benignly. And then someone told him he had taken Maun Vrat, so he was not going to respond to him, right? So that's how Gandhiji got over it. He was also a firm believer in free enterprise. Didn't believe in the way India was moving ahead under Mrs. Gandhi. He gave a speech at the Madras Management Association in 1981, where he basically said that political freedom and economic freedom go hand in hand. You cannot have one without the other. You can't tell an individual where he's going to invest his money. You can't have someone wants to set up a factory, you can't tell him you can only make so many, you can only make them in this district or the other. He said that and he suffered for that, but he never took back his words. The government of India struck back both vocally as well as behind the scenes with a lot of licenses cancelled and stuff like that. But he still did not step back and he went forward with that. So a little to end, I just thought I'd tell you what we do. We are one of the first engineering companies in India, making in India since 1901 and exporting to about 160 countries. This company is one of a group of companies, and we have about 6,000 people plus. I think we've already told you where our factories are and where our products are going. We have always looked at how to encourage entrepreneurship. As the company went higher and higher in adding value, a lot of work that was done inside went outside. We've created literally thousands of entrepreneurs within the group. Unfortunately, they're all in our area of the country, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, and Karnataka. This afternoon, I've met some people over here who said that I should be investing over here. So it looks good, what I was told, so we'll see how that goes. I hope I've been able to tell you a little more about the individuals who inspire me every day. These individuals, literally with what are called sterling qualities, have created this group and taken us where we are. We've been given a strong foundation where it's up to us to take it forward. And I hope that one day someone will say, yes, your generation also did that. So with that, I'd like to end. I'd like to thank Mr. Kaul. I'd like to thank Father Anthony and Father Jerry for not only the honor that they've bestowed upon me with degree and also the other. I think that's something that's from Orissa, the silver filigree work. Thank you so much for your love, and I'm sure that we possibly will be able to do something as well, because I think that's what Rajiv's going to ask me. Thank you very much. You want me to sit here?
I think you take questions from here. I think you take it from here.
Yeah.
Or you want to sit down?
No, I can take it from here.
Better from here.
Yeah. First
So,
question.
thank you very much once again, Sanjay. And as per tradition, you have agreed to take questions and answers,
Yeah.
right? And
Give
to,
answers.
to kick off, may I ask the first question, just to get the mood going amongst our students and faculty and guests. You have now got factories almost all over the world. What would you say differentiates your Indian manufacturing from your global manufacturing? That's the first question. And thereafter, please raise your hands, and he's used to working, so he will spot you and call you, and the mic will come to you. Go ahead.
My eyesight is not as good as it was, so everyone will need to stand up. So I think right now we're here at the right moment. Indian manufacturing has grown significantly, but the Indian costs have not grown as far as if you look at global costs. So what we do over here is basically we make the base pumps over here, right, in India, and we would go all the way right to the most advanced pumps. We make pumps for nuclear power. We make pumps for refineries. We make pumps for all kinds of water supply systems. And we make the small, what we call bazaar pumps that are sold in millions. So the pumps are made here, and so are the valves, and so are the steam and hydro turbines. What we do outside is really very high value-added products, which again are pumps, number one, or they are products that are made in those countries because of the trade restrictions that are there in different countries. We've had a lot of issues with selling things outside as an Indian company, but what we do outside is we make that Indian product into a local product. So when we combine it and make it into a pump set, which has a panel and is part of a system, we ensure that other than the pumps are made to global standards, whether it's ISO or British standards or Japanese standards or German standards, it doesn't matter. The pumps are the same. Coupled to that are motors, which meet either American standards, Japanese standards, or European standards. Control panels, again the same. The electrical standards are different. The machinery standards are different in different countries. And that's how we turn a completely Indian product into a product that can be called as made in USA, made in Netherlands, or made in Africa for that matter, made in ASEAN. Each of these trading blocks, thanks to the free trade agreement that we have with Thailand, there's a lot of products that can move back and forth. But in the other places, it's very difficult to get through. The government of, the US government basically has said they have this Make Buy America program. And a few months ago, the Biden administration said that, just 55% local value addition is not good enough. We should move towards 70%, right? And it should have US steel in it. If it doesn't have US steel, or with US steel, it should reach 95%. So this is America for all of you folks who think it's free trade behemoth, but it is not. It wants jobs to be kept within America or within Europe or within Africa or within ASEAN. And what we have done is do this by this method. We make upstream oil and gas pumps in the UK. So this is where these pumps operate on oil rigs in either the North Sea or South China Sea. Very critical applications, and we also look after them. We sell them to the likes of Shell, Petronas, all these companies. And the thing about them is we have a system called FireEye, where we know how the pumps are operating on either a minute-to-minute basis or an hour-to-hour basis. If something goes wrong, we know what spare part to take on a helicopter so that you do not spend too much time to repair it. So I wouldn't say we make only low-end products over here. We make all the kinds of products because we are finally the holding company and we have all the technology. We can make whatever we want. But if I want to sell to the oil industry, very often the oil industry will say, no India, no China. Now they've said developing countries, right? And India supposedly is not a developing country. Their developing country list includes most of Africa, Afghanistan, Iraq, countries that don't have industry. That's where they will buy from. But yeah, it's a world which is, you could either say it's biased or against us, or you can work within the system to ensure that you are part. If you can't beat them, join them, right? So that's what we've done.
Thank you, Sanjay. He gave such a thorough answer. Let me assure you that I had not prepared this question or prepared him for this question. But please do feel free to ask.
Any students?
Do you see any hands, Father? Not yet. Yeah.
If no one asks, you can call them up.
Good evening, sir. I'm Kamlesh Sahu from the Ximb BM batch of 22-24. I would like to ask you a question. We as a country has lagged in the manufacturing sector for a long time now. What were the reasons behind it, according to you, and where do you see us going ahead?
I hope I don't get into trouble for answering questions like this. But yeah, we have seen that in certain areas we lag behind. I can only give you examples about my company. Because we, in 1926, this agriculture implement manufacturing company made diesel engines, right? In 1935, it was the state of, I guess it was called United Provinces at that time, placed an order on the company which was twice its turnover for a product it had never made before. Today, if I want to make something else, and usually there's a government customer involved, I am asked, where is my proven track record? And I think this is what hurts Indian manufacturing the most. You see the amount of time we've taken to allow private sector Indian companies to participate in defense, manufacturing for defense. And I don't think we are not capable of doing whatever is required. Even if you see the example of Hindustan Aeronautics, I believe the reason that Tejas took such a long time was because they just kept changing the specifications as time progressed. And if you are going to ask for proven track record, we made steam turbines to API standards, it's American Petroleum Standards. We had made about 200 machines under license. And then our foreign collaborator decided he was scared of us and decided to move away and said the license is expired. So I was very lucky in the sense that we worked very closely with Reliance Industries. They need a lot of these steam turbines to drive equipment in their refinery. And they had come up with an expansion program at that time. And luckily for us, they said to our partner that these 150 machines have to be made in India, otherwise no order for you. Right? And so we used that time to work with an American design house to make a completely new design of steam turbine, delivering to the same duties, the same kind of power. And steam turbines are also a very old machine, not as old as a pump, but maybe last 2 centuries or so. Engineers India, which does a lot of work with refineries, actually asked us the same question, where is your proven track record? We sold to Saudi Aramco first. We sold to Singapore refineries next. We created that track record, and then we were allowed to sell in India, right? So I think if Indian companies are given a little more encouragement, and the government is usually the largest buyer, Indian manufacturing will really shoot off. After all, if you look at many manufacturing companies around the world, many Indians in very senior positions, providing either design technology or manufacturing technology. There's nothing, I mean, where were we 400 years ago? Do you know a ship made by Mr. Wadia in Bombay was used by the Royal Navy in the War of 1812 against the US? Today we are very happy when our dockyards make new ships, but we had the technology. We were world beaters, and I believe we can be world beaters again. It's in us. We have to have that confidence, and we have to deliver as well.
Thank you. I don't see,
No,
there's a
not.
hand here.
Good evening, sir. My name is Rishabh Jain. I'm from a BM batch of 2024. My question is related to my past experience I had with your company. During COVID times, I was somehow, working with you as a client. I was dealing with your KBL. So what I've seen that you have, you have taken care of your, team members and your colleagues during that COVID time, and the whole Kirloskar Wadi was able to taken care of all the members. And I was, directly talking to them, and I was very impressed the way you have handled that difficult situation. So I just wanted to know that as a future leaders, we may go through the same kind of difficult situations. So as a leader, how should we, have some qualities so that we are able to sail through that any kind of difficult situations like we had the corona.
Were you at Kirloskar Wadi at that time?
I was about to for inspection, but I couldn't come to Kirloskar Wadi.
Oh.
But I was contacting through all the members of the team which was associated with that project. So I was very impressed. I was very inspired the way they were handling their team members as well as the project. They were not impacting the project, the progress, yet they were handling the team members. So I just wanted to know what quality should we as a team, as a future leader should have.
I think the only thing I can say is we are all part of the same society, and we have to look after each other. If you don't look after each other, then everything just falls apart. Kirloskar Wadi is, since you haven't been there, it's in actually the middle of nowhere. It's a little better than where about 112 years ago when my great-grandfather went there. But it's in the middle of sugarcane fields and vineyards. So we had to carry the rest along with us. There are many people from our factories who live in villages around us. There are many other individuals who support us. And this was one time that we could support them as well. So I think it was only natural. I don't think anyone else in any other industry did anything different. That was the only way to go in such an unprecedented time. I mean, something like this, the company has seen before, because Spanish flu in 1918, the company was around, but there was no one around who had the same experience. And as an organization that has to sustain itself and sustain people around it, there is absolutely no choice. It was the most selfish thing to do, I think. But one of the things that we did at that time, and we benefited, was we have a system called Kirlosmart, right? It's an IoT-enabled device. And when we built our new office in Pune, we said that Kirloskar Wadi is 200 kilometers away. We have a township over there. And the township has is in a process of continuous renewal. And we had a situation where we changed the water supply system. So we said, can we, control the water supply system from Pune, 200 kilometers away, right? And we used IoT technologies to do that. We then came to other companies and we said, which had townships, and we said, would you like to have something like this? And most of them said no, right? There was one part of Pune, a newly developed part of Pune called Magarpatta city. And so we had the experience of dealing with outsiders where we control their complete water supply system. We know exactly how the pumps are running, how much water they need. We've mapped out when there is high demand for water, or when the pressure needs to be monitored and increased if need be. We are able to monitor now life of pumps, life of bearings, temperatures, whatever is possible. And this was a great learning experience. COVID we used for learning. And then we had started getting calls from customers saying, my pump has a problem. And we were able to control that and help them either repair their pumps or run their pumps properly when no one could move around. So, each of these events can also be an opportunity to learn, can be an opportunity to do better. And we are the only company in India, in our industry, that does this. We have a large number of multinationals who compete with us over here, but they have not been able to do that. I have systems in Nalco Angul, which we monitor from Pune. Indian conditions are just as good as any foreign conditions, I guess. And if we can work over here, then surely we can work anywhere in the world.
Thank you. Over there, please.
Good evening, sir. My name is Amrit Mishra. I am part of the EMBA batch. So my question is, we know that Kirloskar is the first engineering company in India, and it has a joint venture with the largest car manufacturer of world, that is Toyota. So what is the plan next? This Kirloskar is going to move forward with building its own manufacturing unit for making cars, or can you give us some insights on how did you make a partnership with a Japanese giant, and how it is to build a relationship with the Japanese culture, and how to deal with their executives?
Okay. So, unfortunately, my cousin who runs the Toyota joint ventures passed away yesterday. And he used to run a company called Director-Kirloskar, which was in machine tools. Machine tools and textile machinery are very closely related. They need similar kinds of accuracy, they run at the same speeds, and a machine tool plant can build a textile in LMW. Lakshmi Machine Works is another example which does both textile machinery and please sit down. So Vikram had this idea that we should get into textile machinery as well. One of the oldest companies was Toyota Automatic Loom Works. That's the name of their textile machinery company. It was their first business of the Toyota family. And so Vikram personally went there and signed a deal with them. And this joint venture started sometime in the mid-90s. A few years later, he got a call from Mr. Toyota, who said, there's so many big people from your country coming across to have a joint venture for cars. They want to make cars in India, and how come you as our partner have not even expressed any interest? And we were very clear. Vikram said, we don't have the money, right? To launch any new car takes a few thousand crores. And we'd rather, if we had that money, we'd rather invest it in our own business rather than in someone else's. And that's why we are not going for a joint venture. We don't want to have a collaboration of any kind. He said, well, we still like your family as partners. Is there a way we could work together? And that's when Vikram told them that, yes, my family will invest, but not 50%. But we will invest a certain amount, much smaller than yours, provided we can learn Toyota manufacturing, the Toyota way, what's called the Toyota way. And that's how we got into an agreement with Toyota to make cars. There are other joint ventures which make many other systems for cars, which again are joint ventures with them. But as a family, I don't think we want to get into cars, right? We will continue with our own businesses, and we will learn from the manufacturing, because I think automotive industry as part of the complete industrial scene is almost 50%, I believe, of the total manufacturing turnover of a nation is, for, like India, would be from the automotive sector. And it's huge. It needs continuous renewal. We are in industries which are not so, maybe a little less flashy. We do something similar. I mean, we like to say that the products that we make in Kirloskar Brothers touch 1/3 of the world's population, because whether it is food, whether it is fuel, whether it is energy, whether it is clothing, you need pumps and you need to move liquids, and the number of pumps that we make does give us that kind of a percentage. But we don't have any plans to get into cars, and I can say that.
Thank you, that very well answers my question.
I think this side, this side, please.
Very good evening, sir. I am Pritish Puhan from Ximb BM batch of 22-24. Sir, with the current advancement and towards like reducing carbon footprint and Industry 5.0, what are the advancements done by Kirloskar towards green manufacturing?
So, number one, we've signed CII's Code of Conduct for Green Manufacturing. But, in 1989 or so, when this was not that fashionable, we set up a competition within the group for reduction in energy consumption, right? Because if you use more energy, you should look at it like it's really wasteful to use more energy than you need. And year on year, we've made significant changes in reducing the specific consumption of energy in all our plants. We then moved to seeing how our products could be more energy efficient. And I can speak more about pumps. We had bought this company in UK, which was bankrupt. Today it's England's largest pump company, but it was bankrupt at that time. And we wanted to get it back get it back to where it was. And the largest industry that we could look at was water supply and sewerage. And in England, the companies are private limited companies. The water supply companies are private companies. And if you can get business from them, because of the efficiency of your products, you know that you have very good products. Today we have something like a 70% market share locally in England with what we call our lowest life cycle cost pumps. So through design, actually the pumps are a little more expensive, but the pumps they lose efficiency at 1/10 the rate of a normal pump. Any pump loses 1 percentage point of efficiency every year. I'm sorry if I'm getting too technical. But our pumps, through design, and this has been proved by third-party audits, lose 0.1%. So in 10 years, they lose what a normal pump would lose in a year, right? So the cost is a little higher, but the cost of ownership of a pump, the initial cost of that is 6%. And when government makes decisions to go for L1, it's really, they're looking at that 6%. And evaluating people on 6% rather than evaluating on 100%. Highest cost is obviously the running of the pump, because every day you're consuming energy, especially for a water supply system where 24/7 pumps keep running, or some pumps keep running. And if you can save energy over there, then you can save energy. So that's another thing we've done. We've looked at then the process through which we manufacture to see how we can reduce, again, the energy. We're looking at, and some of this is also mandated, how do you ensure that you use the right materials when you make your products. So these are different things that we have done. We've also, with CII's Green Core rating, I think most of our plants are rated gold rated. Even the old ones are gold rated. Our old 112-year-old plant is a gold rated plant. Our offices are usually platinum rated. So that's what we are doing step by step. It's a huge journey, and sometimes what is talked about nowadays on ESG, where a lot of companies are doing greenwashing and stuff like that. I hope we are not doing that with the things that we have done, because it can all be measured. And finally, if you can measure it, then you can talk about it.
Thank you, sir.
There was another hand up somewhere close to you. Yeah, just pass the mic then, please.
Yeah. Good evening. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Shri Kirloskar. Generally, theoretically, we sometimes call the segmentation. Like for your product, I just want to ask a simple question: that how you do the segmentation? Like it is product based, or geography based, or sector based? Like categorizing the pump, or the categorizing the pump business, or volume based, or size based. That is a question that I want to ask. On what basis actually you are making different structures, like organization structure? That is what I.
So we have, in our pump business, obviously the domestic business is separate from the foreign business. And the kind of products that we make outside the country, other than what we sell over there and turn into pump sets, that's very different than what we do over here. Because at the end of the day, it has to meet the cost and whatever other requirements are there. So I'll stick to the Indian products. We have 3 types of products. What we call made to stock, made to order, and engineered to order. So the made to stock pumps, we have 3 plants, and they make what we call bazaar pumps. So what you would buy for your farm, what you would buy for your home, or anything that's sub 30 kilowatt, we would call a bazaar product. We have separate factories for them. We have 3 separate factories making 3 different types of pumps. So the very small pumps, which are made in Coimbatore in that all-women factory. We have submersible pumps made in another factory, and we have got surface pumps made in a 3rd factory. The Coimbatore factory as well as the Ahmedabad factory would call retail. The pumps made in our Devas factory would call industrial, more than anything else, because they go into the lower level of industry. And they go only into 3 sectors, what we call these 3 sectors, retail, agriculture, and industry. Our Kirloskar plant again makes pumps from less than, from 2.5 kilowatt, and it goes up to 30 megawatts. So we have one of the widest ranges in the world, and they're all only centrifugal pumps. There are different types of centrifugal pumps used for the similar duties, but depending on customer preference or whatever, they're made in one factory, and they look different as well. And we have what we call market-facing sectors. So the pumps made in Kirloskar, though they look the same, there would be some difference or the other. It could be material, right? It could be cast iron, it could be steel, it could be R55, it could be bronze, it could be, we don't make aluminum, so that's not there, or plastic. But different kinds of materials would go into different segments or sectors, whatever you might want to call them. And Kirloskar factory actually has a big division. There's what we call the small and medium pumps, and there's large pumps. The large pumps go for power, including all kinds of power stations, combined cycle, thermal, nuclear. Irrigation pumps would be made there because they're the same, look the same, though they're far more simpler. And there's pumps for water supply, which can go for very large. So the large pumps go basically into these 3 sectors: irrigation, power, and water. The smaller pumps, what we call small and medium pumps, again, we have different sectors, market-facing groups that handle the same pump or similar-looking pumps, and that's building and construction. So that industry is growing significantly as bigger, taller, more and more intelligent buildings are coming in. There's industry, which is right from sugar to steel, pharma, chemicals. But I wouldn't put petrochemicals in the same place, but any kind of industry, it would be another sector looked at by different people. There is marine and defense. There's oil and gas as well, and I think that basically does it, other than supplying after-sales service, customer support, etc., where we would sell pumps, complete pumps. If, like at Rourkela, we're replacing German pumps. So that would be looked at by the after-sales people. So that's how we've divided the company. The product looks the same, but we want to make sure that in every single sector, we would like to have higher and higher market share and compete with people. Oil and gas, we have another company which makes pumps to the API, American Petroleum Institute standard, though firefighting pumps would also go for refineries through that, Factory Mutual, Underwriters Laboratory, standard pumps. So that's how it is. I hope I have not confused myself.
Sanjay, you run this wonderful factory where you have women's empowerment, 100% women working, but you scared all the ladies who study at Xavier's, because not one of them have asked you a question as yet. So maybe the very last question, because we are nearing the time when you have to give the long service awards to our staff. Can we have a last question from any of our lady students? Or professors?
Yes.
There you are. Please, thank you very much. Can you get a mic there, please, in front? Yeah, thank you.
A very warm evening, sir. So, I'm Professor Aarti Sangwan from Department of Psychology, School of Liberal Arts. My question is very simple. Could you please share from your business experience, as in when does one get to know whether it is time to persevere or to give up on a business idea or a decision? Because while you were sharing about your grandfather stepping down from the board of members when he sensed a grave dissent, so from your business experience, how do you sense whether it is time to persevere or to give up?
Individually or?
Individually, sir.
Individually?
Yeah.
I think when you start getting lifetime awards, it's time to do that.
Thank you, sir.
I had a very, Unni Krishnan. And Unni Krishnan called me and he said the Army Institution of Engineers, I think Army Institute of Technology, wants to give me a lifetime award. I said, Unni, are you telling me something? He's a board member, he's the lead independent director. I said, are you giving me a message that it's time to go? So, I don't know if I've answered your question, but...
individually for yes, sir.
No, individually,
Yeah.
I think one realizes that you're no longer with it, right? And I know that increasingly, we've identified my daughter, who runs now the business in India, and my son, who runs all the businesses overseas, as successors. It's a family-owned company with large family ownership. So I see that increasingly I'm saying, you do what you want. It's your turn. You probably understand what it is. And the movement towards AI was led totally by my son. I didn't even want to get involved, right? And now I find that maybe managing directorship position I should slowly get out of. I've been there, I've told my board that, I've been managing director since 1985. And I said, even if I don't want to leave, the company should throw me out, right? Because you can't have the same person over there. But I'll give you my grandfather's philosophy as the last thing that I will say. He was, when my father passed away, he was about 84 years old. And he passed away when he was 91. So those 7 years, he ran business with a very light hand. He'd already decided that his grandchildren, his nephew and who is as old as us, and his grandchildren were now going to be whatever. And he would get a report, and he would have this computer monitor next to him, right? Imagine an 85, 86-year-old who made it a point to learn, right? How to operate that system. And every month he demanded that the financial performance come to him by the 5th of the month. And you were called if there was something wrong, right? And sometimes he would just say, okay, I'll let him go. And once I asked him, I need to do this and I need your advice. He said, Sanjay, it's very easy. What advice do you want? So I said, there was this problem that we had and I didn't know how to go forward. So he said, are you ready to take my advice? So I said, what do you mean? He says, I'll tell you something. He says, my experience, I don't know whether it is relevant, right? But I'm ready to give you any advice that you want. You can take it or you can disregard it, right? If you take it and the decision is wrong, remember it was your decision. If you don't take it, right? If it's right, he says it doesn't matter whether you take it or not. So if you don't take it and the decision turns out to be wrong, remember I'm with you 100% of the time, right? So I think I'm getting into that role where I sometimes feel I don't understand what's going on, and it's time to get that lifetime award.
Well, you know,
Hopefully
Sanjay,
soon, sir.
thank you for that, but we teach management here substantively. You know, XIMB is known for its management skills, etc. So we found a system here. When the time comes, there's a thing that they do. They add the word emeritus. Thank you very much. Big hand to Sanjay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your experiences. Your words of wisdom have indeed made us reflect, contemplate, and focus on our goals and aspirations in life. Once again, thank you so much, sir, for your time and presence. Now, may I invite our Registrar, Father S. Anthony Raj, to conduct the proceedings for the Long Service Medal Ceremony. Father, please.
I am privileged to conduct the ceremony to award long service medals to our committed faculty and staff members. All the awardees this year have given their 15 years of service in our institution. As I call upon each one, please come to the dais. Professor Biswa Swaroop Misra. Professor Neeraj Kumar. Mr. Bhaskar Mahapatra. Mr. Debashis Mohanty. Mr. Jayanta Kumar Das. Ms. Mallika Devi Patak. Mr. Sumant Kumar Mishra. Ms. Sushila Nayak. Congratulations to each one of you. Thank you. May I now invite our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Father Anthony R. Uveri, to propose the vote of thanks.
Shri Sanjay Kirloskar, Chairman and Managing Director, Kirloskar Brothers Limited, and our Foundation Day speaker this evening, Father Jerome Kutina, Chairman, Board of Governors, Shri Rajiv Kaul, Chairman Emeritus, and distinguished members of the Board of Governors, my dear faculty colleagues, staff, students, members of electronic and print media, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Listening to Shri Sanjay Kirloskar this evening has been an enriching experience. I'm sure that all of us have gained deeper insights and perspectives due to this lecture, which has been delivered by Shri Kirloskar. His dynamic leadership, strong commitment to industrial growth, and warm personality has endeared him to all of us. We are also very happy for conferring honorary doctorate degree today to Shri Kirloskar for his contribution to education and industry in general and to the society. This truly has been an evening to remember. I express my deepest gratitude to Shri Kirloskar for his inspiring and challenging thoughts and ideas that have elevated the standing of the Foundation Day lecture in the academic fraternity. Sir, your views would go a long way in shaping the minds and hearts of our young and aspiring managers present here. On behalf of the Ximb University family, I deeply thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and delivering the Foundation Day lecture this evening. All of us know, in spite of the demise of his cousin brother, he is here with us. The whole family is there. So that shows his commitment and his loyalty to the university here. So I personally thank you. I thank Father Jerome Kutina, Chairman, Board of Governors, for his presence. I also thank Sri Rajiv Kaul, our Chairman Emeritus, and presently the distinguished member of the Board of Governors, for his strong leadership, deep concern and effort in contacting our chief guest, Shri Kirloskar, to be with us this evening. I thank our Board of Governors who are present here this evening for their time and presence. We are extremely proud and fortunate to have you all with us this evening at the Foundation Day lecture. Many thanks to all of you for being strong stakeholders in the institution building process of Xavier Institute of Management, Ximb University. I am grateful to our friends from the electronic and print media for disseminating information on this program, and for being a great pillar of strength for the institutional development process of Xavier Institute of Management, Ximb University in India and beyond. On behalf of Ximb University, I thank you all for your kind presence and coverage of this event. My heartfelt thanks go out to many well-wishers of Ximb University who are gathered here this evening and have a deep and genuine concern for the progress of the university in Odisha. Last but not the least, I thank all the administrative team members headed by Father Deputy Registrar Father Arok and Father Registrar Father S. Anthony Raj, faculty, staff, students for their strong commitment and active participation in this program. Many people have worked hard behind the scenes for making this program a success. I offer my sincere and heartfelt thanks to each one of them for their selfless dedication and for helping in the smooth functioning of this program. Once again, I thank you all for being with us this evening, and I thank Shri Sanjay Kirloskar for the inspiring Foundation Day lecture. May God bless all of us.
Thank you so much, Father, for those generous words. May I now request the gathering to rise for the national anthem.
जनगणमन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तब जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
I request the audience to be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, with this, we have come to the end of the Foundation Day celebration 2022. I request the audience to remain seated till the dignitaries leave the auditorium.
Thank you very much, Ben. And what's your name?
Akansha.
Akansha, which
First year.
first year what?
BM batch. Thank you, sir.